All right, g'day. Welcome back to a special episode of Collectivitis, an emergency episode. We weren't going to do an episode today. It's the end of the school holidays for me. I start school tomorrow. I thought take it easy. Nothing really that huge has happened since the last time we spoke. And then, just early this morning for us here in Australia, the rocking news of Trump being shot in the ear in an assassination attempt at one of his Pennsylvania rallies in the US hit our shores. And when a president or a former president gets shot, the only thing that you can possibly do is talk into a camera and talk shit on the internet. We figured we had to do it. So, and in also a very special occasion, we've got the triple threat of both my co-hosts, Floyd and Max, in today. So, how are you, fellas?
G'day, g'day.
Yeah, good. Ready for a good episode and great. We can have the triple threat here. It's monumental.
The fans are going to lose their mind. The fans that call for one or the other, they're gonna lose their minds today. So
Now we just have to oust Pietro Max and take over the show.
It's all part of the plan.
the great replacement theory is is this.
Pietro may be assassinated live in this interview.
Shit. Cover my ears. So all right, well, let's get straight into it. We don't know all that much right now because as when this happens, the internet becomes rife with rumors. There's rumors of who did it, and then it wasn't this person, and then it might be this other person. So we're going to talk with what we know at the moment and a little bit of the context around it. But I'll start with just the video, and we can go from there.
Yep.
We see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Move to spare. Hold. When you're ready, on you.
Ready?
Move.
Up.
Move. Go.
Hawkeye's here.
Hawkeye's here. Move it to the spare.
Spare, get ready. Spare, get ready.
We ready?
Down. Shooters down.
Are we good? Shooters down. Are we good to move?
Shooters down. We're good to move.
Clear.
We're
Let's
clear.
move.
We're
Let's
clear.
move.
We're clear.
Come on.
Let me get my shoes. Let me get my shoes.
I got you, sir. I got you, sir.
Let me get my shoes, sir.
Hold that in your head, it's bloody.
So we gotta move to the bus. Move to the bus. Let me get my shoes.
Okay, my shoes down. Get the shoe.
Watch out.
Wait.
All right, who wants to go?
Geez. It is just so crazy seeing like the raw reaction to something like that happening. Just, hearing like off the mic, you're like, to get down, get down, get down. And I can only imagine like the most dangerous spot to be in that whole situation would be the fans directly behind him. Like, obviously don't know which direction the gunshots were coming from, but they're going in that general direction. I can only imagine how horrifying that might be. And then also like just seeing how, that his bodyguards work, just,
Yeah.
the fact that that's become a reality, like the things that I'm sure they've practiced for and trained for a million times to put that into practice and just, it's quite raw to see that.
Yeah, there's something like the blood curdling scream from the chick whoever it is in the crowd when she realizes, oh shit, have they fucking shot him?
Yeah.
And then like the way that the Secret Service use their body and their arms to shield his face is just like you're right. Like it's seeing that firsthand is is just what it's history. It's like this is
Yeah.
history happening in front of our very eyes.
I'm amazed at how calm the crowd were, to be fair.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can't see a lot, and I did hear. Okay, so this is the shooter. From what I've heard, the shooter has been shot and is also dead. I heard that someone in the crowd got shot, and I've heard initially that they had also died, but then now I don't know. They might be okay. I don't know. This is what we mean when we say the developments are still coming. I don't know exactly the facts, but I had initially heard that someone in the crowd also died, so two dead. And now I've heard that maybe they're just injured. So I
Yeah.
don't
Well,
know
you
how
hear them
calm.
say when they're like shepherding Trump off, like shooters down.
Yeah, yeah, you hear the shooters down, and I think that's when they start moving him away after the
Mm,
shooters down initial call.
mm.
Floyd.
No, I hadn't seen the full clip, and I was just I hadn't heard where are my shoes, where are my shoes coming through. That kind of pushed me off. I didn't hear shooters down either, so I just saw like an edited clip on Twitter where it was the shot, and then that fist that's gonna be his fucking campaign poster.
Was he saying fight
Um,
as well when he was putting his fist up?
Yeah, yeah, he was.
yeah,
Fight.
something. I thought he was saying "fuck yeah," but he wasn't saying. He wasn't having like a second thing, like a second thing coming out of his
He was
mouth.
just
So,
saying fuck.
yeah. I don't know, maybe
America, fuck yeah.
I'm just
Imagine just
superimposing what I would do. You know?
just all that adrenaline running through him. He
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
think of something to say, and he's like,
yeah.
But you can imagine how rallying this will be for his campaign and
Yeah.
his supporters. Like that, like, you know, that footage of him, like, you know, putting his fist up and saying fight, you know, that's
Mm.
enough to motivate anybody to go out and, like, you know, fight for your cause.
well, there's a few things there, right? The first thing is it's so funny that he said he's just been shot,
Where are my shoes?
and he says, "Where are my shoes?" And he doesn't just say it once; he says it like two, three times. Like, guys, get off me! I need to get my shoes.
I wonder
That's just
why. Like, how did his shoes fall off? Did they? Has he got like ejecto shoes?
Did he
Come
take
off
them
in
off
case of
while he was
emergency?
speaking? I don't know. Does he wear those like those massive heeled shoes that Ron DeSantis wears, and he didn't want anyone to see him being an inch shorter? It's just like incredible the things that he thinks about, right? So he's just been shot. He has the moment of panic where he gets down. At first he feels his ear, and then he has the moment of panic and he gets down. Then he sort of standing up, Secret Service is all around him. Where are my shoes? Where are my shoes? The first thing. And then as they're trying to get him off stage, he has the presence of mind to think, hold on, I've just been shot.
Yeah.
I can turn this into the best campaign moment imaginable. And instead of letting him drag him off, he shoves them out of the way and he does the fist in the air because because that's the thing. In his head, he's already, okay, I'm not dead. It's just my ear. I'm okay. How do I turn this into my favor? And perfect. Couldn't have been scripted better. And there's already, in fact, there's already rumors that this is scripted and that it wasn't, it was all planned and whatever.
We've been watching CNN, Pietro.
Yeah.
CNN, the Collectivitis news network.
Yeah, they only have slightly more viewers than us nowadays. That's how far CNN has fallen. The other thing that is wild to think about. Like, we think of history as this really fixed thing. Like, you read the history books, and Archduke Franz Ferdinand getting assassinated in World War One led to all the countries calling in their military alliances, which led to the outbreak of World War One, which then in turn, Treaty of Versailles led into the outbreak of World War Two. And all of this stuff is kind of written as if when you read it back, it's like, well, that was always going to happen. And even when you look back at the elections, like while they're very heated and in the moment, there is this sense of inevitability. Like, yes, Obama was going to win in 08. Trump was going to win in 16. And there's the question of whether the election was stolen in 2020. But there's never quite a moment that is so flexible where history could just change. And it's wild to imagine that if that bullet had been 5 centimeters to the right, the world has changed. Like, the world has changed forever once again. And it's not like presidents haven't been assassinated before, but, JFK was assassinated. The world could have been changed again just by a stray, well, not stray, a targeted bullet, targeted slightly better than what it was. And that's it. And everything changes. History takes a different course. I think that's just wild to think about. I don't know. What do you
One
guys
thing
think?
that really interests me with that, and a thought I was having, is just how much the US like put their faith into one person instead of a party. You can imagine if Trump was assassinated, like that would change the course of the election like that. You know, like sure there'd be another Republican candidate going up, whether it was Nikki Haley or Vivek, who knows. Um, but like just without Trump there, that election result, it would be so different. And that is assuming that Trump's going to win in a landslide or like comfortably, because that's the trend. That's probably like the safe bet at the moment. So that's quite fascinating. The other thing that that sort of don't want to speculate, and that's the thing that sort of worries me about this the most, is that quite often we joked about, oh, the only way Trump's going to lose is if he gets assassinated, thinking like, it's always a possibility, but it's not going to happen. And then you see just how like real the possibility of that is today. But just the thing that worries me is going to be like the reaction from the public, the people that sort of like going to laugh about it, the people are going to like, sweep it under the rug. The other people are probably going to take it like way too far and too seriously. But just like, I'm really interested within that to see how the left are going to paint this, because it's normally the crazy right-wing extremists, to them, are the ones that love guns and love gun violence. And obviously, if there's an attack on like, a right-leaning presidential candidate, generally safe to say it's not coming from someone who's supporting him. So it's going to be
Generally,
really
yes.
interesting to see. Yeah, I don't know. Who knows? People go crazy sometimes. But it's going to be really interesting to see what the reaction is from that side of politics. And the gun control debate will, go be crazy.
Well, I think so. I think let's speculate, right? Because I mean, I don't want to speculate, but that's all we do on this show. So let's
Yeah, exactly.
speculate. I
It's
think
measured speculation here.
they don't have many cards to play at this point, right? Because this is going to make him insanely more popular. Trump is going to skyrocket in the polls again. There's nothing they can do to take him down. So what do they turn to already? They've, the usual, hey, praying for Trump, hope his family's safe, blah, 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 this, that, and the other, which is a massive turn from calling him a Nazi dictator, extremist, blah, blah, blah. Even they can't push that button right now because, he's literally just been shot at. But they'll turn it into a gun control issue. They'll try and push that button. I don't think it'll do much, especially considering, it's against the right wing figure, as you said. It's not the other way around. The other way around, they could push that button a lot further. What was the first thing you said? You said something else that was the VP thing. So
Yeah.
that's a great point, right? Because if Trump had been shot in the head and he died gruesomely on camera, there's so much public favor for him and his side, but he's dead, right? So what happens in that case? And you mentioned, another Republican takes their place. Maybe it's Nikki Haley, maybe it's Vivek. I don't know. I mean, were they even the two top candidates, considering that they were only like, it was kind of a sham, the Republican primaries, because everyone knew it was going to be Trump. So if Trump wasn't in the picture at all, is there another Republican that is potentially a figurehead? Maybe Ron DeSantis. But what I think it shows is that Trump needs to pick a VP, because if Trump had died, there'd be 6 or 7 people trying to rally the cause, and maybe they don't have enough solidarity to win over, and maybe someone like Kamala Harris does take the post, right? So he needs to pick a VP so that in case of assassination, that Trump has selected this person as the next one, because that's how the VP works. It's like the next person in line. So if this day had happened and Vivek had already been named the VP, now I don't know whether it's going to be Vivek. Obviously, we hope it's someone like Vivek because we like him better than a lot of the others. But even Ron DeSantis or whatever it may be, then the support automatically knows who to turn to because Trump has signaled who his next favorite thing is. But as you said, there's this whole, it's like a cult around Trump. And if Trump dies, that is like the shooters had an exceptional idea. If Trump dies, who is next? We don't know. There is no one else. There's no plan B at the moment. So Trump does need to pick a VP is something that I think is patently clear here. And I mean, I don't think he'll get assassinated now. I think the security is going to be ramped up 1,000 times. I think they'll start having those shields that they had during
The
COVID.
Mobile.
Yeah, they'll have the Pope Mobile to carry Trump around. You know those glass shields that they had during COVID, which back then weren't to protect from bullets, they were to protect from the virus. But I imagine they were probably bulletproof proof as well. So yeah,
And
that's
I'm pretty
that.
certain they've had them before. I remember seeing footage of Hillary Clinton after losing the election in 2016. I'm pretty certain she was behind a bulletproof glass shield.
Yeah, they've definitely used them before. They used them at January 6th, like the speeches there and before and after and stuff, because there was fear of riots. So they'll use those now from now on. I think
I
that's
don't know,
inevitable.
that goes against the kind of the Trump persona though. Of having him, it kind of makes him look a bit weak if he's behind those shields and stuff. So I'm not sure. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But hopefully they just ramp up the security at the events and the rallies and stuff. But you know, if I saw Trump behind a bulletproof shield, I'd be like, "Oh, you're a bit of a bitch, Trump. Come on, like take the bullet, mate."
What more does he
He's
have to
already
do?
taken one.
He got shot in the ear, said, "Where are my shoes?" And then he said, "Fuck."
Yeah.
Are you really gonna think he's a bitch? I don't know.
If he gets
One
behind that fucking glass, then maybe we'll see.
Pussy.
one thing
Look at
that
that loser.
one thing that kind of worries me is like a retaliation or copycat sort of attack. And I say copycat attack, it's not like assassinations or anything, but like I would now hate for there to be like an assassination attempt at like a Biden rally.
Yeah.
You know, that would be disastrous for
The only
for
person
100 reasons.
the only person assassinating Biden at this point is the Democratic Party. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's Hillary Clinton
Or his
or
doctor.
someone in yeah, or himself. I don't know. Like, do you really need to assassinate him? He's already basically there.
But is that how they get him out and replace him without it being a catastrophe within the Democratic Party? Without it being he shouldn't have been here in the first place. Oh shit, Joe Biden's dead.
And pin
He
it
fell
on
down some
some
stairs. Sorry, I mean he got assassinated. And
yeah,
we got to
pin it on
replace
some
him.
crazy right winger. Say, oh look,
Yeah.
they tried to assassinate Trump, so now some crazy right winger. That's very conspiratorial. You didn't want to speculate. You've speculated as far as it can go.
Well, they might get Biden behind the glass, and you know, RFK has a family history of assassination. I'm surprised it wasn't him, considering you know all the kind of lineage he has. They might get behind the glass now. They might have the security ramped up, which might make them look weak. I mean, it didn't even happen to them, but yet they're ramping it up. So I
The
think, yeah,
the other thing they could do is they could use this. I mean, they could use this as an excuse for why you can't have any more debates and hope that
yeah,
that's
yeah.
enough to not compare Trump to Biden anymore and not have RFK on any stage, which they've already decided not to do. But, you know, oh, it's unsafe. There's this culture of death and violence and gun violence is rampant and they almost killed one of the candidates and blah, 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 blah. We can't have debates. We can't have anything. We can't have they won't say we can't have an election because all of the willpower in the world right now is on Trump's side. I don't see how they could I don't see what card they can play other than the gun violence card, and maybe they can't debate now. But it's an unmitigated win. It's just an unmitigated win.
Well, they could do the Trump is such an extremist. I don't know. I've had to. Well, I didn't have to. I chose to watch some of the things that the press has been saying about Trump in the U.S. And it might be, well, he's such an extremist. He's such a totalitarian that this is what's going to happen. If it were Biden, it wouldn't have happened. But this is why, because he's such a bad person. This is what's going to happen. This is why you shouldn't vote for him because it's just going to continue.
Yeah, they'll have to spin something like that, but it's difficult to see how it'll have any effect at all on the polls and on the like this. I can't see anything but like a massive point surge, upward for Trump here. The other thing that I think is kind of the libertarian insight into all of this is that there is so much power and like power and ability to dictate and ability to the importance both socially and politically and globally placed on who wins this election, that there is literally violence and guns and shots and fear of death and assassination, all of this. It just shows like this would all be so much less important. There would be none of this spectacle, there would be none of this danger, there would be none of this division if it weren't for the enormous power placed into the federal government. Now, there obviously their government has a lot more power than here, and so I think the division and the extremism is proportionate. Like they have assassination attempts and assassinations on their presidents because the president can dictate the world so much, and that's so important. Now, Australia is much smaller. If we had the world power that the US has, maybe we'd have a similar thing, but it's proportionate to the amount of power that the state has, is how much of this extremism and violence and how divided and how crazy people will become. And the libertarian insight into all of this is if you want a real return to normality, not the Joe Biden return to normality that makes us all poor and unable to, afford the most basic things, the real return to normality is to remove all the power from the government. Do you think anyone tries to shoot some random guy at a random rally if the government can't do shit? Of course not. Who gives a fuck? I think that's the libertarian insight into all this that we should be kind of poking at and pointing at, because we forget in the spectacle of all of this, and sometimes it's hard to envision within the spectacle of all of this because it is such a huge spectacle. Like this is literally better than any TV show I've ever seen in terms of drama and twists. And, we didn't even have time to talk about the fact that Biden referred to Zelensky as Putin in a NATO summit, introduced him as Putin as a fuck up. And, after the horrendous debate performance, and now that the Democrats and the whole news media is trying to politically assassinate Biden, we didn't even have time to talk about that. And Trump's been assassinated, attempted assassinated here. All of this doesn't happen. Like it's hard to envision with all the drama that occurs there. The true libertarian insight in all this is the fact that the government has way too much power, and it's entertaining, sure, but that's the takeaway here is that without that you don't get any of this.
It just happens on the industry moguls.
Yeah, well, there'd be some other concentration of power, but I think the free market wouldn't allow this amount of concentration of power ever.
Well, you'd have privatized security, and that's much better than public security. So, that's...
Well, those, I don't know, that's the Secret Service guys were pretty good, but I mean, I guess they're probably like the elite. You could get a good level of private security that doesn't have to be that level of elite. So there's another video I wanted to show you guys, and I'll get your reactions on it. And we've kind of almost talked about this at one point already, but I'd like to get your reactions on this because I think it's super interesting.
Graph it out, man. We're speeding toward assassination, obviously, and no one will say that. But I don't know how you can reach that conclusion. You know what I mean? Like they have decided, permanent Washington, both parties have decided that there's something about Trump that's so threatening to them, they just can't have him. I mean, they're putting him on trial in March of next year in the J6 case, which basically consists of trying to send him to prison for the rest of his life for complaining about the last election. That's literally what it is. Again, if this were happening in Moldova, the State Department would issue an all-hands-on-deck order to let the world know this is not a legitimate government. And yet, our government is doing it. It's like it's hard to overstate how bad this is. And I don't know where it's going, but there's a collision that's clearly imminent. And by the way, the president is senile in a way that's impossible to deny. Biden's not running the government, so like, I don't know, man. I've never been this worried about anything as I am about where this is going.
So that's Tucker Carlson. Do you know what date that was from?
Oh, that's from a while ago. So yeah, I don't know what date. Yeah. This is
obviously pre-assassination attempt. Yeah.
Yeah. So how prophetic is that from Tucker Carlson?
It is, but it's also, I mean, it was easy to assume that would go that way, though. It was always a huge possibility that there would be an assassination attempt. Just normally they wouldn't even get that close,
Yeah, I suppose
I think it would be cut off so much earlier than someone being at the rally with a gun firing shots.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. But in saying that, like, yes, it was easy to predict that something like this, that someone would think something like this could happen. But I don't think we haven't had an assassination, like a proper assassination attempt on a president where there's shots actually fired at him. In my lifetime, I don't think.
Well, Shinzo Abe in Japan in 2022.
I mean US.
Okay.
I mean a US president. They're different, right? They're different countries.
Yeah.
There's loads of countries in whatever in
And the
Eastern
impact on the
Europe
rest
and
of the
stuff.
world, people sort of already forgotten about Shinzo Abe's, assassination. Whereas,
I think
Trump's attempted assassination will, be spoken about forever.
Yeah.
there's
And
there's
like Western
conspiracies
countries.
though, because I think there were conspiracies against Obama to assassinate him, but I don't think it got this close. Like as Max was saying, it doesn't get that close to shooting the actual bullet. So
Mm.
I think what I think this shows is that those rallies and stuff. Now, there's obviously a level of security in who can get in, who can get out. But if someone really wanted to, if someone calculated and premeditated and set themselves up and trained and whatever, if someone dedicated a good 3-4 months of their lives into planning and accepted the fact that they were going to die after this happened, because obviously the shooter is very unlikely to come out with their lives, it's doable. Like it is doable. It's just that there's kind of, I think, over time, with the sophistication of technology of the modern world, of the modern US, of the modern West, we'd kind of gotten to a point where, okay, assassinations of political candidates, they don't really happen anymore. Like we can talk with all the anger and fervor, but they don't really get to that point anymore. And as much as there was a lot of hatred and a lot of stuff about Trump. I think that the fact that, like, when Tucker was saying that stuff about a genuine threat of assassination, I think it was still outlandish to be saying, "Oh, I'm worried about that." I do think that. I mean, I, like, I am still shocked that this happened this morning. As much as it's I'm not I can understand that it could happen and it could have happened, but it wasn't on my bingo card of things to happen today. I mean, when I messaged Floyd to let him know that we needed to do an episode and he didn't know what had happened yet, and I couldn't believe it. Oh, what happened? Floyd thought that the Australian election had been called. Like that's what he thought, that we need to talk right now, that we need to do an episode on it, because that's a far more likely. That's a realistic thing to happen. Like Trump actually getting shot at. I think that's still wildly unlikely, and it's not like I would have given it a 0.5% chance of happening prior to today.
And I think it's also just the factor of like going back to saying, like, normally it wouldn't even get that far. Like, normally it'd be cut off before they even get to the rally. But it's the fact he was actually hit as well. I think
Yeah.
I think the general outlook and feeling from the public would be so different if it was like, shots fired and nobody got hurt. But it's the fact that, or just hit someone in the crowd, like, it's still awful. But it's the fact that actually hit him is, I think, what is going to blow this really, I say out of proportion. It's not really out of proportion. It is like a monumental moment, but you get what I mean. It's going to make this situation seem so huge just for the fact that he was actually hit.
That's a great point, right? Let's imagine for a second that the shooter had shot 5 bullets and he'd hit 2 people in the crowd and killed them, and didn't actually get anywhere near Trump or realistically close to killing Trump. The narrative is very different. The narrative is suddenly, oh, hey, this is a false flag attack. Some random right-wing shooter shot some people in the crowd and blah, blah, blah. And they never actually got near Trump. He was shot in the ear. You can't pretend that's a planned thing. You can't get much closer than the shooting in the ear without shooting him in the head. Like, I don't think that the fact that you're right, the fact that he was actually hit, not just shot at, is hugely makes a huge difference in all of this.
I know we know so little in the grand scheme of things, and more details will be revealed, like, I'm sure, over the coming hours and days. But the bullet that skimmed his ear, where did that go? That can still be a lethal bullet passing him to the people behind him. I'm so interested to just hear every little detail about this once it's found out.
Yeah, it was surprising in that video that you see the background and no one there, considering the amount of shots. Yeah, you'll see. I'm sure Twitter was going to have, like, here's where the bullet ended up in the seats and stuff like that. You're going to see the full dichotomy of everything.
So imagine how much that bullet will sell for on eBay. It's the golden bullet.
That's his campaign funds right there.
Yeah.
I don't think he really needs any campaign funds, does he?
He can sell off the little bit of his ear that's been shot off. He can sell that to the highest bidder.
Mike Tyson might buy
it. Yeah. Mike Tyson snacks.
Coming from sorry, this is a little bit off topic, but coming from like a photographer's point of view, there's one photo of like Trump being shielded, like it's a really close cut. I'm looking at it right now. And it's like it's taken like the angle is you looking through the legs of one of like, the bodyguards, and Trump's bent down, he's got blood dripping from his face, and it's such a good quality photo. Like these moments in history, I can't wait for more of this media to come out. It's going to be so fascinating. Like these will be photos we'll be looking at for 50 years.
Yeah. There's a photo that I've already it might be the one you're talking about, but I'm going to use it as the art design for this episode. And it's just the one of him standing with an American flag waving in the background with the blood
Yeah,
coming down and Secret Service all around him. Like that, you could not have. that makes a hell of a case for this was a planned op, because what a shot! Like that is
Yeah.
that's a
There's so
$1 million
many
shot, right?
photographers in the crowd, so it's just someone's bound to get that shot.
You can see in the video of the shooting that within, like, as he's still down and as Secret Service is still around him, and as there's the lady with the blood curdling scream, the people behind him have kind of first done a double take, and then they've got their phones out and they're recording. Like the threat of death is not as serious as you needing to get this moment immortalized by managing to film it up close.
That's one thing that will be really cool to look at is like, when I was watching that video, all I was looking at was like where Trump was standing and like seeing what was next. But you can go through this video, probably watch it 50 times and look at a different person each time. Be really interesting to see their reactions.
I've already
I saw
decided
something. It's stupid. I know it's a terrible thing to say, considering it's how everyone responds to these type of things. But you've got people shielding themselves with like the Trump things. It's like that's not going to fucking save you. But still, like just the reaction, how people react to these type of things, where they think that wow, this is going to save me. Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, you never know how you're going to act in that situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Until you're in it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Trump's.
Where are my shoes?
They're thinking, where are my shoes? Trump's indestructible, right? So you use the Trump shield because nothing can hit the guy. And so, hey, did any of those people get shot? I didn't see any of those people get shot. I saw bullets swerve out of the way instead of hitting.
Maybe Trump's got some James Bond like, devices. His shoes are actually guns too. And that's why he's like, where are my shoes? I need to fire back at him.
He's Neo from the Matrix, just dodging bullets left and right.
Well, he does have a Q out there.
QAnon, yeah, that's very good. Yeah, I think the on the thing that we were saying about the crowd not being we couldn't see anyone getting shot in the crowd. I don't know. I think the camera angle on that thing, and you can't tell much from the video that we watched, but I think the crowd is enormously wider than just what's in the shot. And I think you can tell that by the fact that the people in the crowd directly behind him, they're not sort of acting like they know they're on camera. They're sort of, I think it's like sort of a small segment of society kind of behind him. And so unless the shot was coming from directly in front Trump, which would be bizarre if there's a sniper right behind where the camera is, I feel like that's probably why you don't see the actual collisions and the actual chaos. Because if someone was hit, like you can imagine that section of the crowd, wherever that is off the shot, is probably reeling and trying to help this person and whatnot. And
that's a good point.
Yeah. So that was my takeaway from that.
And I'm surprised no one just tried to rush the stage and just like protect him or see if he's okay. I'm sure there's security pushing them back, but yeah, it's another thing that people just rush the stage to try and help him and just, oh my God, it's Trump. He's down. We've got to do something.
Yeah, I don't know if there's like the shot of how those speeches are framed. I think I have to think they're kind of made to look like it's all much more intimate and much more approachable than it actually is, right? Because
as someone who has a bit of like, knowledge surrounding how cameras work, if it's a really, really long lens and you're at full zoom, the compression factor, those people in the frame that look like they're standing 2 meters behind him, they could be standing 20 meters behind him.
Yeah.
But like the way long lenses compress is they bring the foreground and the background and have them meet in the middle. So there's very likely those people are actually standing like, 20 meters behind him. They're not 2-3 meters as it looks, which is something I hadn't really considered until just now.
Yeah.
Yeah, see that makes a lot more sense to me because like yeah, they want to make it look like he's talking to a crowd that's all around him and right in front of him and all of this, but you've got to think like Secret Service and like all of the security that he'd have to have. He's Trump. He's literally, and I was thinking about this. I don't think there is a more significant figure in the 21st century, period. I think it's Trump now. As of now, it's him. You could maybe have made a case for Obama right after, as he was president, right after he was president, or I don't know, Osama bin Laden or something. But I think there can't be any question now. Like he is the most significant, the most not, not in a necessarily in a good or a bad way. He's just the most significant person in the 21st century.
It's both good and bad significance. Like, it's just the hysteria surrounding him. That is what makes him so significant. Just the hysteria, like positive and negative.
Yeah.
People are talking about him 24/7. People who have no interest in politics.
Yeah. That's
hear
right.
about him all day, every day. So they talk about him.
You talk to the average person and ask them if they know who Mitt Romney is.
Yeah.
The candidate who went up against Obama for his second term, and no one will fucking know who Mitt Romney is. Even in the US, I reckon a heap of people wouldn't know who Mitt Romney is. Here, nobody would know who he is. Every single person in the world knows who Donald Trump is.
You could go to, I was gonna say, you can go to the most remotest part of Africa and say Donald Trump, and they would know who he is.
You can go to those tribes in Africa that have never encountered man, that have never come into contact with civilization, and they just live out their lives in primitive civilization in Africa. You can ask them who Donald Trump is, and they'll be able to tell you.
They'd go, oh, that's the guy that referred to our country as a shithole, yeah.
yeah. That's the guy who said he'd carpet bomb us. Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if you even went out to like somewhere in Melbourne and it's like, oh, who's Anthony Albanese? And they're like, I don't know. But it's like, who's Donald Trump? Yeah, I know. Yeah, Donald Trump. He's that guy. Like,
that's a good point.
Yeah. So I mean, that's kind of what I was getting at when I was saying the whole stage thing. Like they can't be that close. I feel like there'd have to be, tens of meters and hundreds of security guards even between the nearest person and him. And probably thousands of security guards by the next time that he speaks. That's the other interesting thing is when do we get to hear from him? I can't wait to hear what he says, he spins this. Like, I think he tweeted or he used, Truth Social or whatever to say that he was okay and he was recovering. And I think he was rushed to hospital or whatever. From what I could tell there, the injury, as scary as it is, I don't think that's particularly debilitating. Getting shot in the ear. I don't know. What do you get a bit of a bandage but your mental faculties are all immediately there. You probably have a bit of a rush of adrenaline and that needs to calm down. But surely we get something today. Hearing about him, he might be talking as we're recording this right now. Who knows? But that's the thing I can't wait for is and you know exactly how he's going to spin it. But it's just going to be such a moment. Like, it's a moment in history that hasn't even happened yet that I already know is such an important moment in history. That's something that's, I mean, it's you just like, it doesn't even matter how you feel about it. It doesn't even matter if you hate him or if you love him or if you think he's good or bad. It's just like such a spectacle. It is the most entertaining thing in the world. We talked about this year being the most interesting year to have a podcast on, and boy, we didn't even imagine what could happen.
One thing again that's really going to interest me is that I don't know the video footage of it, but I've got the transcript here. Biden put out a statement and was very well spoken and was actually like, I say classy, but like, I mean, like he only had to say one thing and he said it, he was quite classy in his response. He didn't say anything bad. He didn't stutter. He didn't fumble. He wasn't inappropriate. He said, there's no place in America for this kind of violence. It's sick. It's one of the reasons we have to unite this country. We cannot allow for this to be happening. We cannot be like this. We cannot condone this. And he said that it's followed by that he tried to contact Trump. I think he couldn't get through, but Trump was with his doctors and appeared to be doing well. One thing that really interests me is that anytime anything has, like, not that there's been heaps of assassination attempts in modern politics, that like all in the West anyway, normally the two oppositions come together. There's normally like a little bit of like unification. Really interested to see what happens once Biden does make contact, because surely he will. Surely there will be some sort of contact. Really interested to see what that conversation is like if it is made public. Like, there will obviously be some element of it that's made public. But yeah, because like Trump hates him. Trump can't stand him. But surely he will have to acknowledge it, like, thank you for, reaching out to me. So I'm really interested to see how that plays out.
Yeah, and I think the press as well, they're going to have to be some sympathetic in some stage because, someone's tried to be killed, they've been hit by a bullet. So this is a good testing ground as well for the press to see if they'll just be on the hate Trump, he's evil, or like, okay, cool, let's just give him a week or two because he's just had an assassination attempt on him.
And something that I've already seen, and again, this is for early hours, the first reactions. I don't know if this will change by within the next couple of hours, or whatever. But I've seen that one of the criticisms already from the pro-Trump crowd is that they've seen that the media is not referring to this as an assassination attempt. They're not using the words assassination attempt. They haven't put that in their headlines. I think it was the New York Times or something. They refer to shots fired at Trump rally and that kind of thing. Is that already the marching orders on how to spin this? Is it because we've seen, like, just in the last week or two, the way that on cue they will change the narrative that they're going with in lockstep. They went from Biden is completely fine. He's really sharp behind closed doors. He's excellent president. Blah blah blah. This, that, and the other. He's really sharp. He's completely fine. He can do another 25 years as president if you really want him to. Bad debate, and now all of a sudden everyone is questioning his mental faculties, like on a dime. They spin on a dime, and then now the narrative is he needs to step down. He needs to step down because there seems to be this, as Tucker points out, like there seems to be this decision made that Trump is completely unacceptable at all costs, completely unacceptable. And so yeah, the lockstep media now is going to have to try to find some way. Like they are willing to prosecute the guy on made up things. They're going to try everything they can to make this not turn crowds more sympathetic towards Trump. I just don't see how they do it. But yeah, it'd be interesting. I'm curious to see if more people if it is actually being referred to as an assassination attempt, because I don't think, like, if that's not an assassination attempt, then what is, right?
It was just someone just doing some casual Saturday shooting and just happened to graze his ear. It wasn't an assassination attempt.
They thought they saw a squirrel or something. Whatever his hairpiece, they thought it was like a squirrel or I don't know, dove or something. Some sort of critter.
They'll do the Alec Baldwin thing. It's like, oh, there was just blanks in there. It was just meant to be blanks, and it's just an acting kind of thing, and just happened to go wrong.
Yeah, I've already seen someone posted. Alec Baldwin is the one who shot Trump, and Dave Smith posted, "Has anyone checked if Hillary Clinton was in the crowd?" It's
and I think going off that, I think this is like the one time the left has to make good memes, and we'll see if they can do it or not. If they can't meme this, then yeah, sorry guys, you completely can't make memes at all.
I saw one as well, and I'm not giving credit to anyone, unfortunately, because I've just I've absorbed so much already just in memes and stuff. And someone posted, "I guess the left can't meme or shoot," was what someone posted. Spike Cohen posted something along the lines of, "I'm sorry, but if you get shot in the ear and your first reaction is to get up, raise your fist, and yell fight, you win whatever it is that you're doing." Which, to be fair, hard to argue. If you get shot in the ear, like, think of one thing you could be doing, and you get shot in the ear, and you get up and you raise your fist and you yell fight, I think you get a promotion or $1 squillion or whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. You get it. If I got shot in the ear live on this podcast, and instead of going down, I get up and I yell fight, I think we get $1 squillion viewers. Maybe we should stage that.
I was just about to say that. Just having a quick look through like Google News and all the headlines. There's only one I can see that even mentions the word assassination, and it's from The Guardian, and it says Trump rally shooting being investigated as suspected assassination attempt.
Yeah, because we wouldn't want to call it an outright assassination attempt. Jesus.
Well, I guess then what if like, say, like drone bots were the ones doing the shooting? Does an assassination have to be like a human, or they have to look in? Well, it could have been AI, it could have been, some sort of automated thing. Maybe that's why they're kind of not saying assassination. We have to make sure it fits the definition of assassination, which I'm sure is going to be changed if it hasn't been changed already.
Yeah, the definition of assassination gets changed along with the definition of vaccine was changed, 2 years ago, whatever it was.
That's actually not that unlikely.
Shit, we've worked out what their next move is. God damn it. Well, yeah, look, I just felt like we needed to get on, and I just wanted to talk about it because I just had so much pent up, I don't know, energy, I guess. It's a really energizing thing in a weird way. Like, it's horrible, right? A guy maybe in the crowd died. A guy died who shot him, which, I mean, I don't feel sorry for him, but Trump potentially could have died and whatnot. And it's such a weird thing, but it's just so energizing. It's like, holy shit, this is history in action. I just had to get on and talk about it.
I'm sure we'll have so much more to talk about this in the coming weeks once there's more information out.
Of course, and again, I mean, we've mentioned it a bunch of times, but this is gut reaction, first instinct, what we initially thought as we saw it. Look, I think that's probably, unless we've got anything else that we want to comment on it, but that's probably a good spot to wrap it up. Were there any last thoughts on anything we'd missed, fellas?
Again, speculation, but just a very quick thought, and I'm certainly not defending the actions of the shooter, but someone said to me once, if you were to go back in time, like I'm not comfortable shooting a person and killing someone, but if you were to go back in time and be standing next to Hitler and you had a gun in your hand, would you take the opportunity to shoot him? Most people would say yes, because you know what he's done, or what he's going to do. Like let's say this is before World War II. You can kind of imagine somebody in that position wanting to shoot Trump because they have this mindset that he's going to commit the most evil atrocities ever. And again, like, certainly not defending the shooter at all, but I just kind of want to understand the mindset a little bit. They could be thinking, I'm going to ruin my own life, but I have the opportunity to change the course of history for what I believe is like a positive step, which is just quite crazy to think about, because anybody can have that mindset about anyone else in the world. I'm doing the right thing. I'm stopping bad history from being made.
I think I'm glad you mentioned that, because that touches on something hugely important here, which is that you're right. Whoever shot Trump, like, they don't think they're a villain. They think they are saving the world, right? And there's a bunch of other people there's millions of people probably in America right now who are thinking, fuck, I wish that bullet had hit. Whatever they might say, share on social media or whatever, or however Biden is probably thinking, fuck, I wish that bullet had hit, if there's anything that Biden's thinking at all, right? There's a bunch of people who are probably thinking exactly that. And why is that, right? Why is that? It's because of, they call it Trump derangement syndrome. But it's because we have been told, the media, the media is to blame for all of this, because we have been told for, what is it now? 8 years since 2016, earlier, because he got elected. So 9 years since 2015, we have been told that this is the coming of the next Hitler. If everyone's been told that this is the coming of the next Hitler, as you said, most people, if they were given the option to go back in time and shoot Hitler, they shoot Hitler. Would you shoot baby Hitler? Is like a philosophical conundrum question that you ask, right? These people think he's Hitler. And so, yeah, it's an insane person who thinks they're saving the world will commit a gruesome act of violence. It's completely the media's fault for this narrative and the establishment that has decided he's unacceptable and decided to paint him like this. To say they've got blood on their hands is the biggest understatement of all time, because they've killed millions and millions of people around the world for money and power and esteem, and for the military industrial complex and whoever else's benefit. But once again, this time it's only a little bit of blood coming out of his ear and potentially the person who was watching, but they're blood-soaked monsters, these people.
A little bit of blood coming out of his ear, just to quickly touch on that. I know we're trying to wrap up, but Trump's statement that he posted to his social media network, typical Trump wording. He's just got a way. He didn't say, "Oh, like there's a bit of blood, my ears sore." He said, "Much bleeding took place."
There was much bleeding. I had so much blood. I had the best blood, the most blood. Biden doesn't even have that much blood in his body.
Oh, much bleeding took place.
Floyd, any last thoughts?
You took the words out of my mouth, Pietro. Yeah, what is the culpability of the media and everyone trying to push this Trump is a villain narrative? So I know it's not like a direct thing. I forget the actual terminology, but the left like to play this a lot. Well, it's because of what Trump says and the things he does that causes all of these kind of like the fallout from whether it's the alt-right or the just the general right wing. So I think now, put the light back on them, and it's like, well, what have you done to cause this? And yeah, I think there is some culpability there, not directly responsibility, but yeah, we'll see how they react to it as well, and how if they can look at their own behavior. And that depends. If we find out who the shooter is and what their background is, we might just that might just be all top secret. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see where this goes, because this is gonna be some good few weeks of at least just following this.
Yeah, we got heaps of content now. Yeah, and yeah, will they take some responsibility for the fact that they painted him as Hitler? And hey,
Well, maybe it's a
we
good
should have
thing
said
because he's
that.
Hitler. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see how this goes.
Hitler almost shot and killed is the all right, well, let's leave it there for today. Thank you so much for watching us. If you don't already, you can follow us on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, and Twitter. We're also on Apple Podcasts now. We will catch you next time.
Catch you later.
Well.